Welcome to True Hebrews United. Of the Lord, Yeshua. This is your beloved holiness instructor, discipleship drill sergeant, about to get into the book. On these feast days, on day 4, definitely thank the Almighty. Pressing all 8 days. We ain't doing no little, we'll just meet up 1 or 2 days. No, we meet up all 8 days. It's a feast all 8 days. We assemble all 8 days. We press all 8 days. We're a living sacrifice all 8 days. Not like these sinners. They only want to do, they make up their own holy days, holidays, and where they get gifts, and where they look for Easter egg bunnies, and where they buy people chocolates. Yeah, that's all pleasing to the flesh. Some sacrifice you are because you get gifts under a Christmas tree. But anyways, I'd like to thank the Almighty. Thank all those pressing, keeping the feast days, all those living holy, keeping His commandments, because the law is not done away with. Anything in the law and the prophets that still pertains to us, we keep and we obey. There's some things that's been fulfilled, the Levitical priesthood and the sacrifice with lambs and bullocks. Yes, we know that's fulfilled. But right now, anything that pertains like the Sabbath, like not having graven images, like keeping His holy days, like eating the diet that's prescribed in the Bible. I don't even like calling it the dietary law. It's all the law. All of it's the law. It's just the diet He prescribed in the Holy Scriptures. All that still stands. Well, that's it being done. We're going to do a couple little testimonies. If you want to get up, share something, go ahead, Sister Brett.
Shalom, everybody. Sister Brett. I'm just glad to be here. Praise to the Most High that I can join the congregation to celebrate the feasts. That's all I had.
Amen. Anybody else?
Shalom, everybody out there in YouTube world. I just wanted to thank the Most High for being here for another feast. I thank the Most High for the word that's gone forth. I got a really good message from one of the teachings from Brother Simon about the 5 foolish virgins and the 5 wise virgins, and it just shows you that somebody could be almost so right and still be so wrong, still be off to the point to where they miss the feast, and therefore, it's a representation of the kingdom. So I just thank the Most High for that understanding, and let us all come up higher and rejoice in these holy days.
Amen. Anybody else?
Shalom, everybody. I'm Brother Vince. Testimony is we go a lot of days not knowing if other people are in the same likeness of mind, likeness of worship unto the Father. But I see, it's a blessing to me. It's a testimony for me that on Facebook, wherever I go, I see other people that are in the same likeness, the same faith, sharing these things, even though I don't know them. We know we share the same Father, same belief system and everything. So it's a testimony for me as we keep these holy feasts, just knowing that we're not the only ones that are doing this. All around the world, people are doing the same. And, started off as being a Christian, obeying the regular holidays that America had provided for us, but coming into the truth and knowledge of the Lord, obtaining the knowledge of the Lord as He gives knowledge to all. And so I came into knowledge as far as the holy days, the holy feasts and all that. And so sharing it with brethren and sisters, I think it's a blessing. That's my testimony. I wouldn't want to be in another place than to be with the brothers on the feast days.
Amen.
So that's my testimony.
It's not the feast days. I wouldn't mind being with the brethren at the gym, hitting it too. But I want to thank the Almighty. I thank the Almighty for giving certain people a pure heart, pure mind, because Whether you're at the Catholic, Apostolic, Pentecostal, Jehovah's Witness, Baptist, Mormon, Episcopalian, Methodist, wherever you're at, some false camp, wherever you're at, if you're honest and you open these scriptures and you read it for what it is, and you're serious about obeying, then the Almighty will open your eyes to the point to where He'll send the right person to you to preach the truth, as well as He'll get you out of those hellholes. Because whatever camp, whatever you'll see, that how can he be a leader and look at how he's behaving? Or how can he be a leader and look at what he's teaching and look at what I'm reading? Or how can he be a leader and look at what he has the congregation doing and look what the Bible is saying? And you'll start to see this and you'll wonder why so many people will go to these congregations for years and years and years. And they read their Bible supposedly. Most of them are hypocrites. They probably read like maybe 3 books total out of the whole year. But they read their Bible and they still don't come into knowledge of truth. You see where it says ever learning and never coming to knowledge of truth? That's because these people, their heart is gross. They were blinded. Even to this day, he specifically blinded the Pharisees and specifically blinded the Sadducees and the scribes so they don't receive it, because he didn't want to save them, because their heart was already gross. And we see that today. So I thank the Almighty, because when I first came to my church called Old Life Tabernacle, they called it New Life, but it was Old Life because everyone there was still a sinner. But when I went to my first congregation, I just read the Bible. And I'm like, hey, how come we ain't keeping these feast days? And the apostles kept, and they gave me a beat around the bush. And that was my first time. You know, I didn't know the Bible, haven't read the Bible, just trying to get my heart right with the Almighty. I was like, why are we keeping Valentine's Day and all this stuff? And none of the apostles, these are worldly holidays. Oh, no. Why is we doing the little wedding ring when we said women can't wear dress? Oh, that symbolizes this. Why is your wife up there teaching? And it says woman can't exert authority over the man. Oh, that's because we're married and we share the same ministry and all this foolishness. And all I was doing is trying to be honest before the Almighty and just read the Bible and obey the Bible for what it says. And because of that, the Almighty opened my eyes to where I could go into more truth. And then when you leave those liquor stores, those hellhole churches, you leave those dark places, churches, you leave those places, and then you wonder why, because you see some brothers or sisters, you're like, man, they seem so strong. But somewhere deep in their heart, there was some dishonesty. There was some compromise. There's some hypocrisy. There's something that is hindering them to walk in the truth of this gospel. So that's my testimony, how I came over, a little short summary. And I thank the Almighty for a pure in heart, because we see in the book of Acts, Apollos, mighty in the scripture, only knew the baptism of John. Truth came to him. Cornelius, only know keeping the law. Truth came to him. People that were baptized in the baptism of John, they came into more truth. The Ethiopian eunuch, all he knew, he was reading Isaiah, but he had an honest heart coming from Jerusalem. Truth came to him. And it's the same thing today. I thank the Almighty that He'll send truth to those that are honestly and diligently seeking Him. That's all for my testimony. And it was mine, so I'm going to get some extra claps, because it was my testimony. So anyway, so thank all those, Facebook, YouTube, all those here pressing, all 8 days. It's a mighty blessing. And we're about to get into the scriptures. Everyone get their Bible. You all right, Sister Britt?
Yeah.
All right, because it's showtime. We're in service. So, you ready? Everybody ready? We're going to let the fingers do the walking and
the scriptures do the talking.
That's right. Deuteronomy. It's going to be, once again, most of these feast days, except the last 2 days, it's going to be 2 pieces and a biscuit. Just something to get you on your way. Recharge those spiritual batteries you have. All those that are striving for the kingdom. Deuteronomy chapter 13 is where I read this the other night, but something me and Brother Vince were talking about on the way here. It kind of ministered to me. I'm going to add on to it. Let's do this. You guys ready? Deuteronomy chapter 13. We're going to start at verse 6. Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 6. Say amen when you got it.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Well, I want everyone here just to take note. Just really ponder on these scriptures. Ready? Oh, cool. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thy own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods which thou hast not known, nor thy fathers, namely the gods of the people that are round about you, nigh unto thee, and far off from thee, from one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, neither hearken unto him, neither shall thy eye pity him. Why is that? Neither shall thy eye spare, neither shall thou conceal him, which you should do, but thou shalt surely kill him, and thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards all the hands of the people, and thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he hath sought to thrust thee away from the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, and from the house of bondage. And all of Israel shall hear it and fear, and thou shalt do no more such wickedness in all that is among you. Then it goes on to if you see cities, but it shows you in the old covenant that every relationship you have with your mother, your wife, your son, your daughter, your father, any relationship you have is predicated on them obeying. Because it could be your wife that you love or your daughter that you love, and they start serving idol gods, you're supposed to bring them to, and if they have witnesses, and then not only that, you're supposed to be the first one to throw a stone, and it says don't even pity them, no matter how much you love them. So you shouldn't let some love override the commandments of the Almighty, because you could obey the scripture. You could really do it, and you actually stone them, but in your heart you have pity. So you didn't fully obey that scripture. It says don't even have pity or spare them. Don't conceal them. It says you should be the first to throw a stone at them. And after you kill them, don't even pity them. Hurry up and bury them. Move on. Like if there was nothing to you. That's how zealous you have to be for the kingdom. And this is why so many brothers and sisters, I'm talking about in the body, they compromise the Bible because they don't see how serious God is talking about of every relationship we have on this planet should always be predicated on the things of the Almighty. My relationship with my mom and father is cut. Why? Because I don't go the place. I'm a child of light and they're a child of darkness. It says honor your mother and father, which I do. But at the same time, I'm not going to try to keep this relationship with any of my old. I have some old friends that are good old friends. I talk to them every once in a while, but they disobeying. They're my father's enemy. So I'm not a friend of someone that's not a friend of my father. If we want to have a Bible study, we want to talk, they want to come to service, yeah, I'll bear with them. But other than that, I move on. I'm not going to pity them. I'm not going to spare. Hey, they sinners. They sin against the Almighty. No, I can't have fellowship with people like that with the walks of darkness. So let's go to 2 Corinthians. This is all going to tie in with the unleavened bread too. 2 Corinthians chapter 6.
Amen.
All right. People don't imagine actually stoning their mother or stoning their daughter. It could be your only kid. And if your only kid you had was sinning against the Almighty, trying to get you to serve other gods, and right there was talking idolatry. But every time your son tries to get you to, come on mom, buy me some cigarettes, or come with me to here, or come, and they're trying to get you to serve Satan. So if they try to get you to sin or to talk about a conversation or act, they try to get you to do something against this Bible, you can't serve two masters. Either you serve the Almighty or you serve Satan. So whether or not they get you to bow down to a graven image or make a graven image, if they get you to tell a lie with them, they still got you to serve Satan. You're still serving another God. Because, hey, if you're not serving Satan, it says he told the Pharisees, you are a father, Satan or the devil, because you do the works of Satan. He was a liar from the beginning. So when they try to get you to do murders or do anything contrary to the book, hey, you're doing the works of Satan. So Satan's your father now. Satan's your God now. So with that said being done, 2 Corinthians chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 14. You guys ready?
Amen.
Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteous with unrighteousness, and what communion light with darkness? This is a hard thing because now we don't kill them. Now when they try to get us to serve other gods in the New Testament, we don't stone them. The Almighty's going to judge them. And even if it was still to kill them, say if we're still in our land, half of these hypocrites wouldn't even do it. They'll wrestle with judgment because our forefathers wrestled with judgment. But now it says you're supposed to cut off relationships with them. You're supposed to cut off relationships. And so if you find a brother or sister in the New Testament, knowing that these people whether a family or brothers in the Almighty that is called a brother, are doing these things, and they don't cut off relationship with them, those will be the same people that went and stone their mother or father. Because you can't even cut off relationships. At least you could answer their phone call and say, yeah, this and this, we'll pray for you, or oh, mom, you know, we don't have in common, I'm trying to serve the Almighty. And you get off the phone real quick and you cut off relations, you still show respect for them. Now, this is easier in the new covenant to do that. And people can't even do that. What makes you think you will be able to obey that in the old covenant? In the old covenant, you'll waver away too. So your heart's still not right. We really have to get in the mindset. As much as we love people, we should never compromise this gospel for no one. No one. There's been people that I had to cut off that I didn't want to cut off. My flesh didn't want to cut off, but I had to do it because I'm not going to disobey this book. They're disobeying this book, and if I keep fellowship with them, then now I'm disobeying this book. Now I'm a sinner just like them. Let's commune. Let's keep going. So, and what concord have Christ with Belial, or what part have a believer with an infidel? This is why we ain't supposed to be fellowshipping all tough with these people, unbelievers. I had a situation the other day. This person was trying to fellowship with one of the people at True Hebrews United. Asked him to a Bible study. She flaked out on us. Asked him again. Oh, it's another sheet. Asked him again. This person ain't trying to be saved. They quick to want to try to supposedly fellowship with the people of the Almighty, but when it comes to opening up the book, they don't want to have fellowship. Like you said, be not unequally yoked with unbelievers. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right. And what agreement have the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. So we're the temple of the living God, and it says, what agreement have the temple with idols? I went to some people, especially you camps out there, you're having the feast days and you have idols. This scripture says, what have concord have the temple of God with idols? And you trying to keep the feast in the same place that there's idols, you disobeying the book. You straight outside the will of the Almighty. I went up there the other day, like two Pentecostals over there. They use a false bus of Enoch. So I went to go visit them. In the house that they're trying to keep the Feast of Pentecost, they have idols in the house. The Bible just says, what have the temple of God to do with idols? And we're supposed to be the temple of God. So what are we doing trying to worship where idols are? They're directly disobeying the book. Let's keep going. I told those brothers, I said, hey, I'm not going to be able to fellowship up here anymore. It's a house of idols. They're all quiet, and they compromised because they went there the next feast day. They compromised the book. That's all right. Verse 16, and what agreement have the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God, as God said, I will dwell with them and walk with them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15. 1 Corinthians 15. I'm going to have to find this one. Verse 33. You guys ready? It says, be not deceived. Now the Bible says, be not deceived. Evil communication corrupt good manners. Be not deceived. We just read the other while where it says cut off these people because a little leaven up the whole lump, and we're supposed to be unleavened bread. Now we see that, hey, in the old covenant, you had to kill these people. You are these people now today. Let's bring us back today. They will have fellowship with people that they know willingly are breaking the Sabbath, or willingly are watching movies with cussing, or willingly sinning against the Almighty, and they will keep fellowship with them. But in the old covenant, when they try to get you to do those things or they're doing those things, we're supposed to stone them. So now back to the new covenant, it says, be not deceived, evil communication will corrupt good manners. This is why he says, hey, don't have any fellowship with these people. These people will try to corrupt you. You watch these zombies movies, I don't really watch them because they cuss, but these zombies are infected, and then once they bite you or scratch you, they get you infected. That's how these sinners are. These sinners, they want you to smoke weed with them so that you can be a child of hell as well as them. So you can be the child, they want to affect you. So it says a little leaven up the whole lump. You got to quarantine these people. If they're brothers in the Almighty and they willfully transgression, it says kick them out, quarantine, and get them out before they spread and leaven up the whole lump. And when you see brother, even unbelievers, it says be not deceived, evil communication corrupt good manners. But what happens? They want to outthink the Almighty. They want to outthink Yeshua, and they want to outthink the apostles because they say, you know what? I can still talk to my friend, or I can still talk to my mom. I can still talk to my sister. I can still do that, and I'll be okay. Well, so you're saying the Apostle Paul's wrong? Because the Apostle Paul says, be not deceived. If you have evil communications, you communicate with people, it's going to corrupt your good manners. And so in your mind, you're like, oh, well, I can still talk to these people and I'll be all right. So then that means the apostle's wrong. Who's right now? Either the apostle's right or you're right. Because you're saying you can still have fellowship with sinners and be okay. And he's saying you can't be okay. So one person's wrong. One person's wrong in this equation. So the fact that you think that you could do it means you're calling him wrong. And the fact that you're doing it is you're still disobeying the scripture. So now you're still wrong. You're double wrong. So with all that said being done, I like this message because we're preaching on the feast days and Feast of Unleavened Bread, and get the leaven out of your heart. Hey, think about all the people we communicate. We can't be talking with these people all tough. I don't talk with my mom tough. I don't talk with my brothers, my sisters. Hey, I respect all. I don't have brothers in the Lord, but my sisters, everyone. I have some friends, whether they're guys or girls. I don't be talking to them all tough because they sinners. It says evil communication corrupt good manners. Perfect example. I went to go visit a friend. I went to go visit her house. She came back from out of state. I haven't seen her in years. And I was like, oh, what's up? Came to her house and whatnot right after work. She's like, oh, you want to come in? I was like, who's home? And she's like, oh, no one's home. I was like, oh, I'll chill outside in the parking lot. I just talked to her for outside in the parking lot. It says, one, it says, don't let your good be evil spoken of. And two, not that anything was even going to happen, but I'm not going to try to have her parent, because she's an adult, her parent or anyone come and just assume that. It's like, man, no, this is how it'll make my whole image look corrupted. I'm not going to corrupt my image to go visit no friend, especially if she ain't even serving the Almighty. That'll never happen. I'm not going to do anything that make my image as a minister, or a brother, or a husband, or a father, or any title be disgraced for no sinner. So with all that said being done, keep standing, don't drop standards. Give the Almighty a hand clap. Amen.